Sometimes I just think about it. If the Vancouver Canucks, had that kind of guy, it would be so good because he was born there and he was playing and he's playing for the Vancouver Canucks team. Hello everyone, good evening. This is Taiwo Donjobi, your host on Lanonasis Maple Sports. I'm always happy, to bring you a lot of highlights, key events, side talks that are happening within the NBA, CBL, the hockey, and we try to just carve out some space to give you some of the real gist of what is happening. However, today I'll just be, spending some time about talking about hockey, trying to see some of the new things that are happening within the world of hockey. And I just want to say before I go directly into hockey discussion, try something new. Try to make sure that at the end of the day you take some risk, and try to make a difference. I want to use the opportunity to just call out and give flowers to Connor McDavid. Connor McDavid has been very outstanding, and I feel that he's a gift to the world of hockey. Thank you, Connor McDavid, for giving us wonderful highlights. I watched this game yesterday and it was outstanding. What they give the Predators is not something you can buy in the market. If you have had the opportunity to go and watch him live, play against the Predators yesterday, that was a wonderful game. Thank you for giving us wonderful and entertaining hockey from the world of generally from the world of Edmonton Oilers, giving us some good entertainment. And I like what I saw. They demolished the Nashville Predators 6-2, and they gave us an hat-trick. He has not had too many hat-tricks this season, but that performance was wonderful, and I really like what I saw. Thank you for giving us that wonderful performance. Secondly, in the world of hockey, I want to give some shout out to the team, the junior team of Sweden that won the 2026 Junior Hockey League. They were very outstanding. I like the way they approached the game. They approached the game differently. This was the first time in a very long time that we'll be getting to the finals of the junior hockey, like a World Cup for hockey, but for the junior team, not the senior team. And in the finals, we're not having a US team, or we're not even having a Canadian team. It was just the Swedish team that dominated. The Czech Republic team also tried to push their muscles this time around, but it just gives us an indication that hockey is kind of going back to Europe. And we're going to be having more Czech Republic talents coming on board. We're going to be having more talents coming from Sweden, more talents coming from Finland, and hopefully we're able to get some more also coming from Russia. So hockey is no more really about the US and Canada anymore. It looks like the talent is spreading across board, and we're going to be seeing that a bit more in the Winter Olympics that will also be coming up. But hopefully we're going to get a lot of entertainment and we'll be able to touch on some of the drama that will be going on during that time. I tried to do some analysis for some of the hockey games that have been happening so far. Edmonton dominated extremely well, and I saw a couple of guys that are doing so well. For the San Jose Sharks, which is also a team that is based out of California, I have a young guy that was born in Vancouver. His name is Celebrini. I want to use the opportunity to shout out to him. He's playing at a very high level. He's making the Sharks, bounce back. They've been able to get some wins because of the mastery and the way he's approaching the game. And I like what I'm seeing from Celebrini. Shout out to you. Hopefully, you're able to push your team and help them qualify for the postseason. But let's see how it goes. Also, Czech Republic has been very outstanding in this Juniors 2026 World Cup. They were completely different. They dominated across board and they were crowned champions yesterday. Shout out to them. So far, we'll just be going into the full tactical analysis for some of the key matches that have happened within January 5 to date that were very outstanding, that show some indication of what the postseason is going to be like. The Columbus Blue Jackets are still playing so well. They started very well at the beginning of the season, but right now they fell to a San Jose Sharks team. Now, if you look at let's dive right into the performance of the San Jose Sharks, how they were able to dominate the match against the Columbus Blue Jays. That team was outstanding. I like the way Celebrini is playing, and he's a Canadian guy, and he has just been appointed to be amongst the team that will be playing in the Olympics, in the Winter Olympics, and I'm really happy for him. And he's playing some very good hockey. The momentum timeline for me was very profound in this game. The first period, the Sharks set the tone, and they opened scoring at 1911, which is almost at the end of the first period. And it was a dagger that was very late, and it kind of sets the tone because it affects the other team's ability to respond before they get the break and come back for the second period. The Columbus Blue Jackets struggled to generate that pressure. They couldn't respond, so they had only one shot from several forwards. Just trying to push and see what they can do. Early penalties also affected them. It disrupted their rhythm, and took away some of their flat. Because, like I said earlier in the season, the Columbus Blue Jackets are very good. I was expecting a lot more from them, but if you look at what just happened, towards the middle, by the time they were hitting game 15, 16, and 17, a lot of the momentum stopped by a lot of teams improved, and things changed a lot for them. So that's why they've really been struggling, and hopefully they're able to pick it up. But right now, it looks like the San Jose Sharks are just dominating. A team from California doing this well excites me also. They extended their lead to 2-0 on the power play. There was a power play goal that came through efforts from Wenberg, and they were able to create that dominance and show that they have what it takes to be able to move far. The Columbus Blue Jackets, they responded towards the end of the second period just to make it 2-1 and show that there could still be some fight, still left in them. So what now happens was they took some penalties, in that period, killing momentum repeatedly just to see how they can try and, get out of penalty trouble. There was a lot of penalty trouble for the Columbus Blue Jackets, but at the end of the day, they just couldn't go far. Now, in the third period, the Sharks just came and finished things up. They went up 3-1. There was a terrible turnover because if you look at the way players were going towards the zone, they were not doing so well. So there was a terrible turnover, and the Sharks punished the CBJs because of those turnovers. So when they punished them, it became 3-1. And, they tried to come back again, make it 3-2, but that was the end. There was 2 empty net goals because what now happens is, especially for a lot of teams, especially this season and previous games, whenever they are up 3-2, they're trying to see how they can get a draw and go into an overtime so that they can salvage 1 point. But sometimes they pull their keeper to be able to bring in one more offensive player so that they can put a lot of pressure on the team and put in one more goal. And at the end of the day, they become a draw and it goes into overtime. Once you go into overtime, whoever wins, it becomes your luck, because once you score a goal in overtime, that's the end. But if you don't score any goal in overtime and the other team now beats you, you still have 1 point. So at the end of the day, it's a risk that is worth taking. And that's exactly what happened. They were worked out, against them. And there are 2 empty goal nets that were scored by Celebrini and Ferraro. So that ended the comeback attempt, and it made it very difficult for the team to come back. But, during my analysis, I was able to come up with some of the things that cost the Columbus Blue Jackets from not winning this match early enough. The first goal that came from the Blue Jackets, it took a lot of effort because it was coming from a guy that I consider a reliable presence in the team. That's Sean Monahan. He started getting his rhythm a bit late, and that was one of the big problems. Zach Werenski also came with his second goal. He was having every minute, so he was having weak, let's just say he was getting a bit of fatigue, within that game. Because what happens is his goal came in a bit late. So the CBJs now had an opportunity to be able to strike, but most of the goals came very late in the periods. And that was why they couldn't just, continue to fight. So Jet Gravis was about 0.912 in SV percentage. He kept the Columbus Blue Jackets alive, but he couldn't do it so much because there were some defensive breakdowns. And there were also some turnovers that happened, and that caused the third goal, especially for the San Jose Sharks. And that was how they were able to, go in. And they had some struggles quite all right as well. So And it led to some inefficiencies that the San Jose guys were able to capitalize on those inefficiencies, and they scored so many goals. There were structural issues. There's no how they will escape it. There were structural issues. The defensive zone for me was not good enough. The exits were very inconsistent, and the San Jose team, I don't know, that team is so compact. I've watched their last 10 games, and the way they are playing doesn't look like the team that started the season. Celebrini has upped his game, he has gone to a different level, and that's why he got that invitation to play with the Canadian team in the Winter Olympics. Now there's a poor gap control that keeps happening, and San Jose would always attack it. So the turnovers are becoming too much. I just hope that they don't make these mistakes in their next couple of matches. And just like I always say, the San Jose team right now is elevating their level. They are no more like an average team. They are coming up to a stage whereby they can actually challenge for a postseason. And this is the right time to start making those noise. I know that the season will break at some point and they will go for the the Winter Olympics, but nevertheless, this run of games that the Sharks are already giving us shows us what we're going to expect. Hopefully, there are no injuries in the Olympics, but those are some of the things that we're going to expect when we get them coming back from the break. Structurally, the Sharks are breaking down a lot of defenses well. Celebrini is playing at a very high level. Their top performers in this match, Celebrini had 1 goal and 2 assists. He had about 5 shots and was very dominant. And that's a very, very good TOI for me. Alexander Wemberg had 1 goal and 2 assists as well. Alexander was more of a two-way addition to the team, and I like the way he was able to control the game on both ends of the floor. Mario Ferraro had 1 goal and 1 assist as well. He was more of a stabilizing force for me, and I like the way he made sure that most of the zone movements were flowing at the right pace. Nedojovic had about 0.944 SV percentage. Very calm. I like their goaltender, very calm, and he's playing at a very high level now. He's also helping the team to, because everybody's talking about the Sharks now. They are trending upwards. They are playing very well, and I like what I'm seeing from them. But hopefully they're able to still go and face the big boys and still repeat this performance. But their last 5 games have been good. I like what I'm seeing. And Celebrini and Wenberg are controlling matchups very well. The chemistry between those two guys are becoming very good, and I like what I'm seeing. The defensive discipline is good, and the transition efficiency as well is also good. They're playing faster than what I expected. So the CBJs continue to have penalty troubles, and that's what affected them seriously in this match. It kind of broke their rhythm, and hopefully more discipline gives you the opportunity to be able to challenge a bit more within the world of hockey. And if you get into a lot of penalty trouble, you're going to just be losing opportunities to win. And if your defense is not strong and you don't have a good goaltender, you're going to be in trouble. So the goaltending battle is still a problem for them, especially in this match. And now that they've gotten the opportunity to have a bit of a balance, you understand, they're still not doing it at a very high level. But let's see, and hopefully they're able to turn the tide and win a couple of games before the Winter Olympics. Shout out to Celebrini, a very good Canadian guy doing so well in California. And, that's the guy that was born in Vancouver. And sometimes I just think about it. If the Vancouver Canucks, had that kind of guy, it would be so good because he was born there and he's playing for the Vancouver Canucks team. It would be a very, very good addition for them. But so far it is what it is. And, he's playing for another team that took the risk to get him on board. Just like I said earlier, the Edmonton team was very outstanding. I liked what I saw from Connor McDavid. Connor McDavid is still a key blessing to the world of hockey. He's been playing lights out. He scored an hat-trick, wonderful goals. In fact, the first goal that he scored in transition was wonderful. Nobody could catch up with him. In fact, one of the things that was said, on that day of the match was which kind of defense can put up with that kind of speed that Connor McDavid was bringing. He brought that speed, took it up, went to the left zone and just, tricked the keeper and he just took it to the left. His second goal was wonderful penalty, because one of the defenders stopped him from scoring, especially when he was goal bound. So they had to give him a penalty, and he won it, based on a penalty shot. Very good penalty that he gave. And, it's a bit similar to some of the ways he had played penalty in the past, but I like what I saw from him. The Edmonton, as usual, struck first through McDavid, and that tilted the momentum. They finished their entire period without any goals, because I was able to catch up with it. Now, from what I saw, Edmonton is still having goaltending problems because Tristan Jarry is still injured. And right now they've put his name on the injury list. He's not going to come back until another 2 weeks. He's going to join training next week. But with the way he's going, he's not able to play for the team. So they are stuck with Ingram. Ingram has been playing so well. He played well in this match yesterday. But Ingram is still not a high-level keeper. And he's also affecting their rotation. They are not able to rotate well. So Ingram is taking heavy minutes because Jarry is still injured. He has lower body injury. And lower body injuries, especially in hockey, takes a while. But the good thing is right now he has not been activated from the injury list, but he will start joining training from next week. Hopefully they'll, manage through this week. Ingram played so well, and see what next week looks like. And we can now start to have conversations around how they can do their rotation. Ingram is playing well, don't get me wrong, but they still need a high-level keeper to be able to solve their goaltending problems, because what happens is they are scoring a lot of goals, but they are also conceding as well. This match now, they scored 6 goals. If they had struggled and they are unable to put in 6 goals and they scored 2 goals, it would have been difficult for them to win this match comfortably in regulation time. They would have had to go to overtime, and panic comes in. Sometimes it may even lead to penalties. So, as you are having good offense, you still need good goaltending to be able to make sure that you preserve that win comfortably so that you don't go into overtime. Overtime leads to your 3 best players staying on the ice, and at the end of the day, it now leads to some kind of tiredness, and they don't, because they play longer. If it gets to overtime and gets penalty, teams play longer and they don't get enough rest before their next match. So, at the end of the day, fatigue just comes in and it becomes a problem for them. McDavid, I like his penalty shot as the second goal. That was pure momentum dagger. The Edmonton team first of all scored 4 goals just to overwhelm the team. Laser, another, good guy. I had not seen much of him recently, but he made it 3-0, and he came with one very hard forecheck, and he scored the 3rd goal. Kapanen scored the 4th goal. This one is now showcasing the kind of depth, because they had to keep 2 players that have not been playing so well to bring in these guys and, give them more minutes. So Nashville collapsed a bit. There was some poor gap control. I saw that their defensive rotations were not good enough, but they decided to answer after the 4th goal. So in the 3rd period, Nashville, they pushed back and they scored 2 goals, in quick succession. And I was thinking, there may still be a game here, because those 2 goals came in a bit early in the 3rd quarter. And Drysdale, who was a bit quiet early in the game, he restored the cushion, made it 5-2. And when it was 5-2, I saw Nashville putting a bit of pressure. That was where Ingram came in clutch, and Ingram played very well. McDavid now completed the hat-trick by scoring a good pass coming from Nugent, and he was able to make it 6-2 on the late rush, and that was good. So Nashville couldn't push more, because now you now have the 4-goal cushion, and the good thing is this win now makes it 21 wins now, because I've been waiting for the Edmonton team to hit 21. Now they've hit 21 wins, because their counterpart, which is the Florida team, I think they're on 22, even though they lost badly to, I think they lost, I watched their game 2 days ago, they lost to I will still talk about it today, they lost to the Toronto team, Toronto Maple Leafs, who are even playing at a very high level now. A lot of things are changing for those teams. So, looking at the breakdown, from my analysis, Conor McDavid is still very, very unstoppable. And I thanked him earlier for giving us wonderful and premium hockey sport. He's still playing very fast. His power play shot was good. His penalty shot was also good. And the even strength cross that came into him to seal the win. And he finished the morale of the Predator team. He had 10 shots. That was very, very good for a player of his level. He has been in the league since 2015, the captain of the team, and he's still playing at this very high level. And that's why he's a surprise to everybody. His drives are still one of the fastest because of the way he enters the zone. He tries to take a lot of defenders by surprise and he moves the ball a bit faster. So because of that, even a lot of goaltenders are still confused on how he's going about his movement. He's still very, very fast. Leon Drysdale was quietly dominant. The first half of the game, I mean, the first two periods was very quiet for him, but later he now came in the third quarter to, to create that dominance back. Because when it was 4-2, it was looking like the game was going away and was looking that there was a bit of panic in the Edmonton camp, but later he now made it 5-2 before Conor McDavid made it 6-2. It was 63.6% on face-offs, and that's for me, that's elite distribution for a match of this caliber. They had just lost 2 games, so they needed to. I think during the entire festive period, they were 1-3. They won 1, but they lost 3. They lost to Calgary, and they lost their last game as well. So looking at it, they needed to, get back to winning ways and show that even if, you hit them to the wall, they will still be able to bounce back. Depth scoring is still very good because for a team of this level to score at least 6 goals after a bit of a slip in performance shows that they still have it in them. They still have the championship DNA in them. I call it Stanley Cup DNA. And I like Lazar's performance. He scored a goal. Kapanen also scored. And Savo also scored. These are confident guys coming up. Quite young compared to the McDavids of this world, but at least they're also able to create that efficient and balanced scoring across the team. Conor Ingram, I'm happy for him. He's beginning to hold the fort. I feel for him because him being the only one available for them is affecting their rotation. And that's because Tristan Jarrett is quite injured, but he had a 0.923 SV percentage. Shout out to Conor Ingram. He had some key early saves against Nashville that created that barrier and helped to keep things calm. And I think he's also, he's also seeing the way the team is moving and is beginning to step up, and I like what I'm seeing. The good thing is what makes a team outstanding is how they're able to face adversity and make those adjustments in online real time. And I like what I'm seeing from him. He's able to adjust. I think Edmonton will deliver, this was a complete game for the new year, showing us that, okay, between now and the end of the season, because they still have 82 games, it's all business. We need to qualify now. So I'm seeing a lot of speed, depth scoring. They also took tough decisions and they took out 2 players that were not performing. It shows that the coach is holding people accountable and they want to be legitimate threats again between now and the end of the season. This season is going to be very interesting. I'm really looking out for what's going to happen in the second half of the season. The Vegas Kings also had a very wonderful game and they are just adding more misery to the Winnipeg Jets. I expected the Winnipeg Jets to win this game, but they couldn't just keep it together and it got to an overtime. In the overtime, they also tried to push, but they just couldn't win. And the Vegas team, Golden Knights just went ahead and they just made it a rough party in Winnipeg. The first period was the Jets. The Jets first scored 2 goals, which was very, very good. 3, eye dagger looks, wonderful one. They scored 2 goals and trying to see, okay, from there, can we push, try and make it good. In the second period, Shane makes it 2-0. You understand, for the Winnipeg Jets. But I was thinking, okay, I like their transition play. The way they scored 2 power play goals, it shows that they were in, they are just 2 normal goals, but it showed that they were in control until Vegas now responded with a power play goal to make it 2-1. Now this was shifting momentum. They now came back, made it 2-2 in the third period. At that time, there was now pressure in Winnipeg. They were moving, they made it 3. And before the end of the match, Vegas answered again with another 3, making it 3-3. So it was caused by a broken coverage. It was a player fell and was trying to see if he could, still get the ball, but it was not fast enough. And the Vegas guy just came into that broken sequencing and was able to put it on. It went to overtime. In the overtime, there was a lot of pressure. I was thinking the Winnipeg team was going to get it done, but the goaltending was super. And unfortunately, they missed the opportunity and they looked tired. So from there, the Vegas team just, had Sandberg, penalty, give the Vegas team 4-3, and that was how they won it. And it was just a bad night for the Winnipeg team. The problem with the Winnipeg team is they've only had 15 wins this season. when a lot of teams that are contenders are, in fact, when there's a team that's done 31, you understand, the Colorado team has won 31 games already, and we are still having a Winnipeg Jets. The Winnipeg Jets used to be one of the best power play teams, and right now they are struggling with 15 wins, in a season where they've played close to 40 games already. So they are still struggling, but for me, top performance for the Vegas Golden Knights, Thomas Eto, Mark Stones, Mitch, Mana, Noah, and Nifin. Wonderful guys. One goal overtime winner for the Thomas Eto was outstanding. It shows that he can still play at a very high level, and he can still give us good run, especially when he faces teams that I consider the upper echelon. These are teams that they're already doing what they need to do to stay ahead of the game. The next one I want to talk about is the Toronto team. Toronto Maple Leafs, shout out to you guys. Especially Austin Matthews. It is not fair when a team is not playing well and the entire media is criticizing Austin Matthews. The guy has stepped up, and he has stepped up in a big way. Since when they sacked their assistant coach, their power play coach, and they employed a new coach from a lower league who is over 50 years old, they've really improved. Austin Matthews is playing at a very high level. I like what I'm seeing from the entire team. They went in and they dealt with Florida as if Florida was just a middle of the pack team. This is a back-to-back champion. They won the Stanley Cup back-to-back. Even though they suffered a bit of injuries early in the season, but the Toronto Maple Leafs showed them that they still have it in them in this postseason. And this win also got them above the 20-game mark. And right now, they've hit more than 20 games in winning positions already. I think, they just hit 20, while I think 20 or 21, I have to check. But I like what I'm seeing from the Toronto team. They played the Florida Panthers differently. They won them 4-1. The Florida Panthers could not respond because the speed was just too much. They came with an intention. And at some point, I was wondering what's happening in Toronto. The first period, the Toronto opened the scoring very late in the first period, 1936, with Cowan. Cowan was able to capitalize on a clean cycle of movements that were happening, and he used the weak side support, and he was also able to finish the Florida team. Florida, for them, I feel their top six producers, they are not giving any danger anymore. They are a bit predictable. Everybody is able to see, even though they beat the Colorado Avalanche team, and they were the ones that gave the Colorado Avalanche team their fourth regular season win. You understand, in their last game, and it was a hard-fought win. I think it was 2-1. That game was a bit different. It looks like a different team that played against the Toronto Maple Leafs, because that game showed us a typical playoff situation. But this one was different because the Toronto team meant them and came for them seriously. So for me, the Leafs are very good in their defensive layers. I think the new assistant coach has gotten to work and is really helping them out. I like their defensive structure. It frustrated the Florida team very early. And in the second period, they took control. Nice made it 2-0. Just 42 seconds into the game, he already made it 2-0. And there were some weaknesses. Austin Matthews played so well. He extended the lead to 3-0. And I like the support he was getting from Nice and Marcelli, setting him up for that goal. And Florida's defensive coverage collapsed completely after the 3 goals. They didn't look like a postseason team anymore. So they took a late penalty by Riley, and but failed to convert, But, they kept fighting because they just had one more period to kind of save face. Before now, the Florida team has always been a team that comes back late. So even the third period, everybody was still a bit scared that would the Toronto team be able to keep this lead going. But from what I saw that the Toronto team were able to keep that composure to close. Even though the Florida team was able to pull back one more goal. You understand? After that 3-1, the Toronto team just put in one more by McMahon to seal the empty netter, which was a mistake in the strategy for the Florida team. And they just sealed it, and it became 4-1. And sometimes when it's just 4-1 and you are a team trying to see if you can get some overtime win so that you can steal 1 point, it always becomes a problem. So the Maple Leaf had a very good performance, and their top performers were Joseph Wall, Matthew Nice, Austin Matthews as usual, even though he just had 1 goal, and Nicolas Roy with 2 assists. Nicolas Roy for me was a strong 2-way player in this game. and I like his presence. His presence was very much felt. Joseph Wall had the 0.969 SV percentage. Very calm and composed, even with a Toronto team that has gone through a lot in recent times. Joseph Wall still showed that composure and was able to go into the match with a lot of confidence, and I like what I saw from him. Their layer defensive zone coverage was good, the Toronto team. I like their defense, especially since when their new coach came. Their efficient breakout was also good. I like Ekman Larson, how they are combining well. I also like the pressure, the forecheck pressure, which they gave the Florida team. The Florida team was completely surprised. They didn't see all this coming. They were very, 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 how do I put it now? They were unprepared for what Toronto was bringing their way. So the goaltending was very stable compared to what I see normally for the Toronto team. Goaltending was good. And some penalty issues also affected the Florida team. Few penalty issues, but not significant. They are depending a lot on their key guys, and that's the problem. Their top performance could not really shift momentum today for the Florida Panthers, but they are still a team that has championship DNA. Once they bounce back, they can be very dangerous to beat. So I don't take this for granted. Hopefully, they're able to bounce back. But I see the Toronto team going 5. They continue the way they are, they'll be able to make some noise in the postseason. So the next game was a very dominant game from the New York Islanders. They defeated the New Jersey team 9-0. The New Jersey team could not even respond. 9-0. That's too high, for a team that has already 20 wins and above this season. The New Jersey Devils are not they're not just a scrub. They're a very good team, but the New York Islanders showed them a different kind of hockey. I was surprised. It was a complete collapse for them, and if you are not able to keep that composure together in the postseason, you're going to see teams that are even better than the New York Islanders. They will come at you. Their transition, their slow penetration, their defensive structure, everything collapsed. Even their goaltending was rubbish. You understand? In the first period, the Islanders, they set the tone, scored a very early goal from Bazal. So they put the New Jersey team on their foot, because a very early goal is not really good in hockey. It means that if you are not getting it together, you are going to get some more goals, because it's still a very long 20 minutes just in the first period. Holmstrom, they made it 5-0 on the slot feed from Bazal, as in it was crazy. In the second period, it was already 5. You understand? They were wondering what's going to happen. In the third period, there was a complete collapse. And that's where the other 3 goals came, and they kept piling up. And at the end of the day, it was a complete disaster. For the New York Islanders, I liked some of their top performance. I even liked the way they were doing their transition games, and I liked the way the ball was moving. The puck was really moving around. Anthony Duclair was good. He had an hat-trick plus 2 assists, and that's the major game changer for the New York Islanders. He was unstoppable, and he made the difference. Matthew Barzal played well. Cassis Cizikas was also a very good guy. He had 2 goals and 1 assist. Tony D'Angelo was also good, and Sorokin had 44 save shutouts. Perfect positioning for me. Perfect positioning. I think this game was different. The New Jersey guys didn't know what was coming. Unfortunately for them, they were not prepared. I saw major tactical strengths coming from their lane. They put a lot of pressure on the New Jersey team. And the New Jersey team were easy to figure out because there was a lot of panic. They didn't know how to react. I saw clean, fast exits happening. I saw their slot dominance was very, very good. Then there was perfect goaltending also, because they didn't even consider any goal. Their keeper was 100%. Their goaltender was 100%. So to me, that's a very, very good identity marker for me for the New York Islanders, and I'm watching out for them. I know that if they get to the postseason with their performance, they're going to go very far. The New Jersey team have a lot to improve on. 0 defensive structure, no slot protection at all, turnover everywhere. They were making mistakes, no pushbacks. They left their key guys exposed. So those are some of the individual struggles I noticed. They need to improve on that, and try and give themselves a chance to be able to qualify for the postseason. The Carolina team continued a good performance against the Dallas Kings. and they defeated them 6-3. I like what I saw. The Carolina team is also a very good team. I used to put them in the same ranking where I was putting the Anaheim, team, even though they are just based on performance, they are slightly below the team in Denver, the Colorado Avalanche. Colorado Avalanche is on a high level, but when you put your second bucket, you're talking about the Carolina Hurricanes, you're talking about the Anaheim Ducks, and a few other teams that are doing between 20 and 25 wins. And from this game, they were very dominant. They made it 6-3, even though the Dallas Kings are also coming up quite well. Looking at when I did the last ratings to now, the Dallas Kings are also they are trying. They are really trying. It's not a team that I would say is a complete scrub. So in the first period, the Hurricanes took command with 1-0. Dallas tied. Okay, I think Dallas tied with a power play goal coming from Robertson before Hurricane now made it 2 more. Now increased it to 3-1. At that time, I was thinking, man, this game was going to be very hard because the Carolina team was very aggressive going into the second period. The forecheck pressure was good for me, and I knew that was going to help them do well, especially when they play at that level. So they break it open in the second period, and they just increased it to 4-1. Dallas was very slow in the second period. Their defensive rotations was not good. They were not rushing back. So there's something we call deep coverages or drop coverages in basketball. In hockey, you also have to do drop coverages, which means that you must be able to quickly go back and cover up, especially for defenders that have been completely exposed. They couldn't do that, and that was why the Hurricane made it 4-1. A power play goal now came by Giants, then I made it 5-1. At that time, it became a very, very tough game for them. Dallas was pushing in the third quarter, but it was tougher. The Ratanin came in and made it 5-2. Then Carrier just answered with immediate killing the momentum, making it 6-2, and that was just the end. They couldn't respond the right way. Dallas just got one consolation power play goal, making it 6-3, and at the end of the day, they just had to settle for a defeat. For me, the reason why I like what the Carolina team did here was I like the way their selection was. When they were getting to the end of the third quarter, they made some good moves that helped them. I like Nicolas Ella's elite transition play. It was very, very good. That helped them to seal the win and made it 6-2 before Dallas came back to make it 6-3. Brandon Bussit was very steady and composed. He was doing about 0.909 on steady and timely saves as well. So it helped them to be able to keep that clean slate, and they were able to get the win. The next game I'll be talking about is the Tampa Bay Lightning team. That's another dangerous team. The Tampa Bay Lightning team just, defeating a lot of teams. In fact, they are just embarrassing teams. They beat the Colorado team, who happens to be my number one team on my ranking. Any ranking that you can think of today, the Colorado Avalanche are number one. This Tampa Bay Lightning defeated them 4-2. As in, I was like, what did they do differently? The Colorado team generated volume, but it was not really enough to sustain the danger coming from the Tampa Bay Lightning. They struck some lightning, real lightning. If you look at the transition plays, starting from the first period, it was very tight. Both teams were playing well. The Lightning team too have won over 20 games, so they are not a scrub. But the Colorado Avalanche is number one team. They won 31 games. So for a team that has won 31 games at this stage of the season, has something going right for them. So everything is working out well. They've had the highest number of wins. They've only lost 3 games in regular time this entire season. They've lost 7 games in overtime. You understand? So the Tampa Bay just gave them their 4th loss, at this time. So it was a very, very good team they were going against. And I was thinking it was going to be one of the hardest matches I've watched, but it looks like the Tampa Bay guys were ready for them. They had that sharpness and everything. So the Tampa Bay, they broke through very late in the first quarter from a power play goal coming from Gwenzel. And it was created by Kucherov. I like the way Kucherov created it on the east-west manipulation for them. So I like what I saw. Now, the Colorado's penalty kill was passive. It allowed the Tampa Bay guy to kind of dictate the pace. So that affected them as well. If you're looking at the overlay, the second period, the Avalanche pushed. The Lightning tried to counter as well because they knew that if you allow the Colorado team, you understand, to dictate the game, they've been winning they've won 31 games already. So everybody has to be alert. So Kelly tried his best. He tied it 1-1. It was a net front finish, very close. I like the way he was able to do that finish, but Colorado came back, made it 2-1 on a clean marker setup as well. At that time, we were thinking the Lightning would not be able to capitalize, but before the end of the second period, they capitalized with a Gigensen, making it 2-2. So when it became 2-2, a lot of things started changing. We started seeing some transition efficiency happening. Colorado was generating momentum. We were thinking they would go ahead and win this. Then in the third period, everything just changed. Brandon Agil scored a crazy dagger. You understand? I even thought the battle was going to break. He scored a crazy dagger, made it 3-2. Colorado continued to put pressure when it was 3-2 at that time because they could easily just go into an overtime like they always do, because they've had 7 of those kind of games this season. But what happened was Cirelli now sealed the empty net for them. That empty net strategy didn't work out well for them, and it became 4-2, and that was how they were able to go away with the win. The Colorado Avalanche, for me, didn't have a bad game. They just met a team that was a bit more hungry and really needed to win. Some bright spots were Brock Nelson with 1 goal and the strong net presence as well. Parker Kelly had a lot of energy. I like the forecheck pressure that he put as well, though he had 1 goal too. Kilmaker had 1 assist. I like his elite puck movement as well. I like what I'm seeing from him. McKinnon also had a very good performance. He was heavily involved. He had 5 shots on goal as well in this match, just to put small pressure on the goaltender. There were some structural problems which I feel they need to improve on. Defensive zone coverage broke down a bit, and that's why the Tampa Bay Lightning was able to take advantage of it. And in fact, one of the goals came from that. There was a neutral zone turnover that happened during one of the Tampa Bay transitions, and that also affected the way they were able to execute as well. Penalty discipline also finished them and gave Tampa Bay the momentum. But still, with the difference in goals, I expected Tampa Bay to score more goals with some of the inefficiencies that I saw from the Colorado team. But because the team is so tightly packed, they're still the best team so far this season. And that's why there was just a difference. They almost even went into an overtime, if not because of the empty net goal that came in and made it 4-4. Finishing issues started. They had 3 shots, but they didn't have a lot of second chance looks. And that was one of the problems. Wedgwood was solid, but he couldn't help them steal the game. He also took in about 4, but he tried his best too. And at the end of the day, just a shout out to Tampa Bay. They tried their best. They are a good team. And they also showed us that they can punish any team that shows weaknesses across board. Their top performers, I like what Kucherov did. He had 2 assists. I like his elite distribution, and he also helped to control the tempo. Brandon Agil had 1 goal and 1 assist. I like his control, especially the forecheck pressure. I like what I was seeing from him. Jake Grustel had the power play goal. But what I'm seeing now, there's a bit of a chemistry between Kucherov and Jake. I like the way they play, especially when they go into the zone together. Darren Radish also had 2 assists, heavy minutes. His puck movement was good as well. And Andrei Vasilevsky playing well, very calm. He had 0.939. It was Colorado's. He kind of erased all Colorado's attempts. He was a menace for them. So I like what I saw from him, and I like the team. Tampa Bay, shout out to you guys. Continue to give us good hockey, and hopefully they're able to make some noise in the postseason. The last game I'll be talking about today is the Buffalo Sabres. This is one of the New York teams. From what I'm seeing, I didn't even expect that the Buffalo team will come up with this win, because this season, I'm not having that bite from them. I'm not getting that consistency. They're a good team, but that consistency is not there. They used to be on the same level at the earlier part of the season. They used to be on the same level with like an Anaheim Ducks. But right now, they have also dropped. Though they won this game against a struggling Vancouver team, And the Vancouver Canucks team also struggled in this game, and they went ahead to lose by 5 points to 3. They really struggled against the Buffalo Sabres. The Buffalo Sabres went ahead and just, created more misery for the Vancouver team. Hopefully, the Vancouver team is able to bounce back, and they have the second half of the season with over 40 games to be able to kind of just relive those memories of having a good Vancouver team in the postseason. For the Buffalo Sabres, their top performers were Alex Tuch, Tage Thompson, Josh Doan, Bowen, Biram, and Lukanen. Lukanen played well. He did about 0.914. He was very calm and composed. I like what I was seeing from him, and he made some timely saves. Even though Buffalo, I don't think they will go far in the postseason. I don't see them going far. But for this match, they were fast, connected, very disciplined, and they took advantage of opportunities in front of them. I like their early execution because they built a 4-0 cushion, that helped them to be able to keep that structural speed and the opportunities going. And Vancouver tried to push late, and that's one thing I don't like. You're already up, a team is already up 4-0, you're now trying to push, and you ended up losing. So what's now the benefit of trying to push? But looking at it very well, Vancouver is still a team with good history of coming back very, very late. And some of their bright spots in this match were Brock Boza. He had 2 assists, strong puck distribution from what I saw from him, but it was not enough. Jake DeBrusk, the power play goal too as well, which was good. I saw high motto in third period, but that high motto did not translate to them even getting into overtime. Elias Peterson had 1 goal with 3 shots on goals as well. He drove Vancouver's late push, but that late push did not translate to any win at all. Liam Ogren too was confident in what I saw. Even though they were coming from behind, he was still confident, and I like the way he was able to go about it, but still it was not enough. The Buffalo team are showing some promise, and I think that they have the strength to be able to push a bit more. But the thing I fear the most is injuries. 1 or 2 injuries to members of this team can even make them not even qualify for the postseason. So what I'm saying is the Buffalo team end this win through structure and opportunities. Coming up 4-0, even they were surprised against a very good Vancouver team that has been struggling recently. Vancouver's third period was very, very dominant. They showed like they were looking for something, but it's just that early they didn't show any urgency until the third period, which was not good. There was a bit of pressure for them in the second period. Defensive discipline was not there, but in the third period they tried to fight a bit more. Okay, yeah, so we're able to do some good analysis on hockey this week, and Hockey Week is changing. Shout out also to the Swedish team for winning the Junior Hockey Cup for 2026. It shows that hockey is going back to Europe. For the first time, we are not seeing a US or a Canada team in the final. It was a big surprise to me, but shout out to all the guys that tried their best. Finland, the Finnish guys are also coming up in hockey, and I like the way it's going. Thank you very much for staying to the end. We're able to, manage some time very well today. Have a wonderful day ahead and have a wonderful week. God bless you. Cheers.